Hi, today we're going to be talking about the art of effective communication. So, effective communication is very important regardless of, you know, whoever it is you're communicating to. It could be a stranger, it could be somebody at work, it could be a family member, whoever is communication is important to, respect the other person. But mainly with relationships, is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to dive into that, but you can still use, some of these tips, most of these tips, in other situations as well. So we're going to talk about the aspects, okay? So clear communication involves, active listening, empathy, and the ability to resolve conflict, because that is very important. And recognizing when it's time to seek help is very important, So, clear communication. All right. So, some tips on clear communication, to make sure you understand, your partner, friend, your family member, and what they're saying. You want to set aside time and talk to them, to avoid distractions, any noise, anything that can get between, you guys having the conversation. And it's very important to always think about what you're going to say. Always have it figured out. And just, you'll feel more prepared going to the conversation. And be clear about what you want to communicate. Accept responsibility of your own feelings, because those are your feelings. They don't, completely understand. That's the point of why you're clearly communicating. And use terms like I want or I feel this way, so that way they can know. And be aware of your tone, when talking to someone. You don't want to seem disrespectful. So yeah, and active listening, another point. With active listening, it's more than just listening. Okay, you're actively conversating with them, your body language, and you're making eye contact with them, and you're attempting to understand their point of view and dropping your beliefs of however you feel about the situation, which is pretty difficult to do, but it takes practice, if you want to be a better communicator, which also involves empathy. You're letting go how you feel, and you're trying to understand their intentions, their wants, their needs, and all of that. Remain eye contact, not jumping to conclusions. Let them finish their sentence. We all been there before. But it's important to share positive feelings with them. Let them know, hey, I'm having this conversation, not to cause more problems, because I care about you, and I feel like we should work on this, whatnot, and tell them, hey, I think you're a great person, I think this, you know what I mean? Just reassure them, because sometimes communicating can, whatever you talk about, but it can make the person feel like, oh, they don't like me. So, yeah. And pay attention to body language and their tone as well. You don't want to overlook that. All right. And identifying conflict in the first place. Because conflict, it comes from, different perspectives, different tastes, different opinions. Conflict just happens. And it usually gets very intense because, it's how do you handle conflict? Well, conflict is actually, it can be pretty healthy. Depends on how you use it. It can actually form creative solutions, because even though you and this person are very different, like day and night, you can still get along, And some tips on resolving conflict or avoiding a really bad, conversation, disagreement. If you and the other person are tired, it's just best to calm down, take a rest. Don't just go straight to the conversation. Just don't do it when you're tired or when you're already stressed out. It's going to make things worse between you and your partner. Try to compromise. Find a shared value that both of you have. That's something you have in common, and just, work on that. Or if it's a surface level disagreement, just say agree to disagree. Because not everything has to be, you have to agree with what I say, or you're just a bad person, And it's better to question your motives too before, having a conversation with someone, because that's more effective. Because you can't just go into the conversation based off of your feelings, question why you had those feelings. Don't avoid comparing them to other people, or saying you're impossible to talk to. Don't be a psychologist either and be like, you're narcissistic, I think you're insecure. Like, no, let's not do that. You're gonna shut the other person down, and it's gonna be a fire hazard. All right. Which brings me into, if you cannot resolve conflict, it's best to go to counseling. Figure out your baggage, from past experiences, and your household, like where you grew up, relationships, whatever that's affecting this friendship or this partnership, or relationships at work with your friends, or like work friends, whoever it is. Figure out what you have going on, because that can really improve your communication skills, as well as you and your partner, your friend, spouse, whatever. You guys can go to counseling together. I don't know if your work friend want to do that, but close relationship type of things. You guys can go together to counseling. If they don't want to do it, just go yourself. And you guys can figure out things about each other, and learn how to communicate. But to recap, we learned about the foundational skills of clear communication, empathy, active listening, resolving conflict, all those wonderful things, and seeking help. That you learn about that too. So it's very important to seek help. Some people look down upon it, but it's really good. Counseling is great, And so, by all means, you guys have a great day. I hope that you learned something today. All right, thanks for listening.